Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Monica. I'm a tarot reader and astrologer based in the Whitsundays in Australia, where my channel name comes from. So I'm starting off the year with a video looking at a couple of things. Number one, it's a bit of a deck haul for 2024, looking at all the decks that I purchased. And then I'm also looking at I did a video last year on basically saying that I wasn't going to back any Kickstarter decks for a number of reasons. I will link that in the video description below. And I wanted to also address that. In essence, let's start with that basically. Short story, I did not buy any Kickstarter decks. I did back one and one only. And unfortunately, that tarot deck did not get funded. And that was the Sawyer Redux Tarot by Jamie Sawyer. I missed out on the very first Kickstarter, and I think they did a second run looking at two different deck sizes, and I really wanted to get like a mini version for myself. I've got small hands. If you're new here, that's like one of my pet peeves. I don't like big cardstock. So anyhow, yeah, I backed one, and unfortunately that one did not get funded. But other than that, there were some decks that caught my eye in Kickstarter in 2024, but ultimately just not enough for me to want to back them. And so, and I had a look recently on Kickstarter and what's available there, and there's very little of substance. Like, sure, there's a couple of decks that aren't bad, and owing to the fact that I have a sizable collection, I don't feel inclined to obtain those. But other than that, there's also a lot of trash. I know I sound harsh when I say that, but honestly, if you're gonna go to the effort of your own time in creating something and then using resources, the earth's resources to get it printed, the paper from trees, the inks, the dyes, the shipping costs, everything, if you're going to go through so much effort, why create something that's mediocre, or even worse, something that uses AI? I won't go down that path. I talked about it enough in my previous video, looking at the reasons I wasn't backing Kickstarter decks in 2024. So anyhow, I didn't. I stuck to my goal. I didn't buy any Kickstarter decks, but I did buy quite a few just general decks. Now, some of those I can classify into decks that I regret. I can also classify them into decks that I wanted for a while and I finally got my hands on some. So let's have a look at that. Now, the first 8, I'm going to show you the first 8 because I did a mid-year haul where I talk about these 8 decks in more detail. I'll link that also in the description box below. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time on these. Basically, they are starting with a regret, the Aleister Crowley Tarot. I think I mentioned that I find the artwork here a bit amateurish or cartoonish. It's not my cup of tea. I regret buying this. It was $10, which should have told me everything that I needed to know about, the deck. But anyway, I got it. It does have a quite a good book, so I might still keep it for that purpose. But yeah, it's not going to happen. I also bought the Spirit Animal Tarot. I really love this animal deck. Heaven knows I do not need any more animal tarot decks, but here we are. I purchased it and I don't regret buying that. I also got the Atavist Tarot. This is a, I think 1990s from memory, collage deck. So it's a bit of a vintage deck. It's out of print. I did a review on it, and you can search for it on my channel. I bought the Thelema Lenormand. Really love the artwork in this deck. However, the card sizes are huge, which is really irritating. I also bought the Real Sky Astrology deck. It's in a white box here. I'm not going to go through it and open it. It's an out-of-print deck also by Julia Kuchia-Watts. Actually, I think you can get this printed on one of those custom print studio websites, I have a feeling. It's still not cheap. Really like it. And the lady who graciously sold it to me at a reasonable price Diane from the Magical Haven, if you're watching this, thank you. She also included a Lenormand deck. It's like an astrology Lenormand. I talked about this as well, and I showcased it in my mid-year haul. Tarot Art Nouveau, a bit of a regret. I bought this thinking it was going to be cool, and it is, but it's just not my cup of tea. I don't find that it's a really good readable deck for a number of reasons. So I think this one's going to go in 2025, sorry. And finally, absolutely love the Sea Soul Journey Oracle deck. Sea Soul Journeys Oracle cards by Pippa Best. I also showcased this in my mid-year haul, and I'll put that in the description box below. But I just wanted to mention those 8. So we've already got 8 there. And a couple of those we'll just have to, you know, sell them or donate them or whatever, because I'm starting to get a bit closed in with too many decks. And then we have, let's start with some of the cheaper decks. Now, the first 2 I bought secondhand. Actually, I bought quite a few secondhand. But these ones I bought secondhand, and they were very affordable, and I bought them for different reasons. The first one is one that I wanted for a long time. It came just in a little organza bag, didn't come with a box or anything, which is probably why I was able to obtain fairly cheaply. I think they were like, I don't know, 20 bucks or something. And it was the Robin Hood deck. I have been wanting this for a long time. And I think that's for a number of reasons. I think first up, you know, it's one of the older tarot decks from, I'm not sure when this was published, whether it was the 90s or 2000s or something, but I like the fact that it's, you know, like it's got that hand-drawn feel about it. And I do like the artwork. I love that it's got a pagan flair to it. And I don't know, I think it's a really, really wonderful deck. It has that older card stock from, who's this published by? I think it's US Games, or maybe it's Los Caribbean. I'm really sorry, I'm not sure. I don't have the box. But anyhow, you know, the card stock that I mean, the good old, yes, it's a bit thin, but it works a treat, shuffles effortlessly, and works really, really well. So I've always wanted this deck, and someone finally posted it at an affordable price secondhand, so I went ahead and I bought it. So that's the Robin Hood. No regrets there. I really, really, really love it, and I've worked with it recently quite a bit. Very, very excellent working deck for practical readings. Then I bought another copy of the Legend Arthurian Tarot by Anne-Marie Ferguson. Now, so I've actually got a copy of this deck already, and I do have the box that comes with the deck. This is a Llewellyn publication. The reason I bought this deck is, I mean, I don't mind having spare copies of decks that I love, and I absolutely adore this, even though I'm not a huge fan of Celtic mythology. Like, Celtic mythology has never captivated me. You know, I mean, I don't know, I like parts of it, but I'm not like a huge connoisseur of Celtic mythology. But nonetheless, I do love some of their stories. I love their myths, and I love the artwork. It's absolutely stunning. So the real reason I actually bought this is that, obviously, as you can tell, cards are based on Celtic legends, of course, on the Arthurian legends, and they do have names popping up throughout. Like, all the cards have, you know, additional names based on the Arthurian legends. Like, for example, the Ten of Shields is called Camelot. You know, the King of Shields is Uther, and there are all these characters from the legends. And I do have like a little book that comes with the, you know, the little, like the deck in the box, the little white book. But it's not in depth enough for me. And so when this one popped up, it actually came with a proper guidebook, and I really, really will enjoy working with it and exploring it. So you can say I kind of bought it for the guidebook, really, but having a second copy of it, I don't mind, because A, I love the deck, and B, it's out of print. So it's always nice to have a copy or two of out-of-print decks for my own personal use, or as a backup copy, or to sell in the future, or to trade. They're really, really good to trade out-of-print decks. Okay, so I bought those two, and that was really nice. These are decks that I've wanted. This is the category of decks that I've always wanted, and there was just never the right opportunity to purchase them. The other ones that I've always wanted, there's quite a few here, is a Rider-Waite-Smith edition from the 70s. I so wanted like a vintage Rider-Waite-Smith for as long as I can remember. I'd be keen to get one from the 60s and the 50s if I could. This one popped up. It was quite affordable. I think I paid like $70-something because the seller kept dropping the price. And in the end, I went, right, I've got to get it. Excellent condition card. The cards are just brilliant. They are, as you can tell, the edges, they're immaculate for a tarot deck from the 70s. This is an absolutely sterling condition, and that was another reason why I bought it, because I have seen decks from the 60s and 70s pop up for sale, but the condition was never that good, and I don't want torn decks because I will be working with this. And the thing I love about it the most is the cardstock. It's got this kind of like a soft buttery feel about it. I can't describe it. Even it smells beautiful. I absolutely love the fact that I've got a 70s Rider-Waite-Smith. It's got like, the Rider and Company London on the box. The box does have a bit missing, torn at the front, but I don't care. So yeah, I'm very, very happy with that. No regrets whatsoever there. The other one that I bought was a proper Thoth tarot. I didn't realize when I bought this though that I was buying it from Germany or Austria, and it was online. I think this is from the 80s, and therefore the card names, like with Thoth you've got the additional meanings on the cards, they are in German. So yeah, interesting. I love it. I love the artwork. The reason I bought this actually is I've been looking for one where I knew I would like the cardstock. And this is an AGM Urania publication. Let me just have a look. In any case, regardless of the publisher, which I can't confirm, I do love the cardstock for this deck. And most importantly, check out the size. It is perfect for my hands. Absolutely spot on. So I love the cards. And yes, I've got to deal with the fact that I've got this, the explanations at the bottom in German. I don't mind that in terms of not being able to understand the cards. I obviously know what each card stands for. I think it might be a bit tricky with the chord cards, but that's only because I haven't worked with the Thoth extensively. So that will obviously change. But in terms of, understanding, like the Nine of Swords and things like that, I don't have an issue with that per se. So I've kind of been umming and ahhing whether I should trim it, and I'm undecided because I have never trimmed a deck before. And I seem to have issues with physical, the physicality of reality, for lack of a better word. As in, I need to spend extra time to make sure I do things properly. But I'm often quite fast and just too quick, and I just want to get stuff done. And because of that, I kind of miss little details, and I fear that I'm going to butcher it, which is why I've left it as it is. And I might just leave it as that long term and not worry about trimming it at all. Or perhaps I should just practice on some cheaper decks first. But anyway, so I bought this. It was also a pricier one. Not ridiculously expensive, but because of the shipping and because, it was coming from Europe. It wasn't, I think I might have spent like, I don't know, $80 or something, Australian, something like that. But I love the card size and I love the card stock, and I think that's really, really important. I'd rather have this deck with the German subtitles, with that card stock quality and size than have the English version that has bigger cards, and I can't stand the card stock because I'll never use it. So anyhow, so I got the Thoth. I really want to work with the Thoth. I want to learn about it. I've got to get a couple of books first before I venture down the path. But this is kind of like one of my most important projects for 2025 in terms of tarot, is venturing down the Thoth path. The other ones that I wanted to get, and I'm also really pleased with, are the Forager's Daughter Tarot. Now, this I held back for a number of reasons. Number one, it's been out of print. I think there's like different editions. I haven't followed it, but I think there was like the first edition, the Kickstarter, and then it was out of print, and then it might have been a second edition. You can get it on the artist's, I think, eBay. But because, you know, to ship here to Australia from America is really, really expensive. Whenever these came up, they were quite expensive, I think, to do with the fact that you know, either the edition was out of print or, you know, the cost to bring it in is ridiculous. And I think this one came up, it was really, really affordable at around $50. So much so that I had to look up whether it was an authentic edition, because as we all know by now, the tarot world has been absolutely violated by cheap fakes. And yes, you can go online and purchase the Forager's Daughter Tarot. It looks just the same. For like $10, I think, from AliExpress or something like that. I can't remember what the website names are, but you could tell that it's a counterfeit because, number one, it's $10. I mean, come on. And number two, there's something about the borders. Now, I'm not sure that this is going to pick up the fact that these borders aren't completely white. They've got like this kind of like a, you can see it here. Unfortunately, the video quality makes it look like they're dirty, but these are not scuff marks. They're actually like, they've got this kind of like a pattern on the border. So it's not like a plain white. And therefore, and yes, they do have the gilding, which is really, really lovely. But they've done a nice job with the gilding and with the artwork and everything. So yeah, I had to check whether, you know, am I buying a counterfeit deck here? And not because sometimes like the sellers aren't aware that they're selling a counterfeit. They think they're selling a genuine thing, and like they would have no idea that there's actually, you know, a fake version of that deck online somewhere. So anyhow, I bought this. It came with the book, and I look forward to, you know, really working with it because I mean, yes, it's another animal. Another animal-based tarot deck. But it is absolutely stunning. Here, I'll show you some cards. Forgot to do that. So, I don't know how far I can... There we go. A lot of animal symbolism in this deck. But it's really, really nicely done. And if you have an inclination toward the animal world, the natural world, natural magic, this really, really speaks to that. Like, this is the deck I could work with in my work, you know, like doing natural magic work, working with elementals and plant spirit and things like that. So yeah, I have wanted this for a long time, and I'm really happy to finally have it. Okay, up next, another deck, no regrets, is the absolutely wonderful. Now, I could have bought this like, you know, 15 years ago. I remember distinctly seeing it on the bookshelf back when it was published, because it is a mass market publication. And I didn't, and I've regretted it ever since. And it's the Rumi Tarot. And I paid a fair coin for it. Like, let me tell you, it wasn't cheap, even though the seller had reduced the price on it a couple of times. And each time I sort of said, no, I won't just yet. I kind of wouldn't. And then finally I bit the bullet and I bought it. And it comes in a pack. Of course, it's got the guidebook, really nice, in great condition. And then it's got the cards in like a little organza bag. And I don't know, I guess there's the romantic in me, you know, the fantasist in me that loves Rumi and loves his writing and everything about just the way that he writes is just so beautiful. So this deck has quotes from his writings associated with each card. And I usually don't like that, but because it's Rumi, I forgive a lot. I really, really, absolutely love this deck. I'm really, really happy to finally be able to enjoy working with it. It's obviously not one that I will read with for anyone, unless they, you know, specifically, explicitly want a deck that aligns with this or actually mention it even. And some people might, you know, some people from the Middle East or India would, you know, have an affinity for this deck perhaps. But for readings, you know, I mean, this is a personal deck. This would be like a deck just for me, you know, for those nights when you want to enjoy life and you make a cup of tea and your time is your own and the kids are in bed and the house is quiet and life is good. A bit like that. So yeah, that's the Rumi Tarot. I love having this deck. I shall be looking after it, as I do with all the decks that are out of print. I'm quite careful with them because at the end of the day, I'm just a custodian for these decks, and someone else will hopefully enjoy them once I'm gone from this earth. So next up, I've seen this around a lot and wanted it. Too expensive, too expensive, too expensive. And then finally I went, right, I'm gonna get it. Claire de Lune Lenormand. It's the same lady, Anna Turian, I believe her name is. Anna Turian, yes, who has done, there's a couple now. One is out of print and I regret not getting it. It escapes me, the name escapes me, but it's really sought after and the artwork is really beautiful. But anyway, this is quite different. So this is, you know, being a Lenormand deck, the cards are much the same as all the other Lenormand decks in terms of content, like the dog is a dog. But how they're shown is, of course, interpreted differently by different artists. And so in this deck, it's all black and white with that sort of like a golden, silvery, shimmery touch to it, reflecting the name, Claire de Lune. And I think it's absolutely beautiful. I love reading with this deck. It's done some really, really good readings with it in terms of Lenormand. I might actually resurrect my Lenormand channel. I haven't posted on there for months. I just haven't had the time. And I might actually start working with it there. So this is Claire de Lune by Anna Turian. Yes, out of print, I think, or this is a Kickstarter edition. I can't remember which one is which, but really, really lovely, lovely working deck. Okay, another one. I did a review of this, so I won't spend much time talking about it, is the Prediction Tarot Pack. This is straight from, I think, the 80s, if I remember correctly, by Sasha Fenton. And it comes, you know, you open it up, you slide the cover and you get, oops, you get a mess. You've got the deck, the book, and then the cards. Let me have a look and see when was this published, because I forgot. Published by Aquarian in 1985, and this edition is from 1990. Okay, so I don't know why I like this deck, but I do. Okay, some things just don't make sense in life, and you know, here we are. Well, I do actually. The Major Arcana artwork is absolutely gorgeous. I'll see if I can showcase some. I just love it. And the cards are small in size, and that's another reason why I love it. Let me try and make this a bit more. There we go. But as you can see, the minor arcana is just pips. So this is one that I'm reserving kind of towards the end of my tarot career, when I'm really gonna go down into the playing card style readings. At the moment, I think the Thoth will be my next project. But yeah, this is, here you go. I'm sorry about the glare, I can't really change it. And there's the pages. But yeah, the major arcana really captivated me. And I just like the way it's executed stylistically. I think it's simple with the minor arcana, but it's not coarse. It's quite refined, I think. And this is out of print. And so I've wanted to obtain this for a long time. And, you know, it doesn't come up for sale very often. Because it is from the 80s or, you know, 1990, whenever this edition was published. But it's just not a popular deck, because I think it's because of the way the minor arcana is shown. But I really enjoy working with it. The cardstock's really nice, and of course the card size is very appealing for me. I also bought the Gentle Tarot. Now this has been around for a long time, and I held back buying it. I don't know, it just didn't really capture me for a long time. And then someone posted a second-hand copy up for sale. It came in this very bright pink bag, which is handmade. I always appreciate when people include that. It's really nice. No guidebook, no box, but that's okay. So most of you would know the Gentle Tarot, and I didn't realize that it actually features so much animal imagery in it. You know, considering I have quite a few animal themed decks, I'm just not sure what to do about this one, because it's sort of sitting in between. Like, it's got a lot of animal symbolism in it. Like, here we go. But then I feel like it's a really lovely working deck too, for when you need a bit of comfort and soothing. So I'm gonna keep this for a while longer and just try and work with it a bit more. I struggled to connect with it for a long time. I think I might have posted up a video I did where, you know, I did a reading trying to bond with this deck, which actually worked out really nicely. So this deck is one that I wanted to obtain for a while, and I just haven't worked with it that much, but I feel like it's got its place in my collection, even though it's got a lot of animal symbolism and imagery, so we'll keep it for a while. And then there was this sort of wild card deck, and I saw Martin did a review of it, and I went, right, I'm gonna get this. I'm not a collage type person in terms of my tarot decks, but some now and then there's some that come along that really fascinate me, and this is one of them, and it's the Burning Tiger Tarot. And yes, if I had one critique to make of this deck, is that the box is terrible. I mean, there's just, so the box came as a flat pack, you know, like it's flat, and then you know, bend it and put it together. Now, I don't mind that aspect of it, but the fact is that, as you can tell, the cards don't sit snug in it, and because of that, the box starts to warp, and just it's really no good for holding the deck. That's kind of like my only issue with this deck. So this is a collage deck, and it was created by Giulio Secondo. Hope I said that right. Really interesting tarot deck. Let me just hang on. Here we go. Get ready. So here we have La Diavolessa. How do I do this? Like that. So, a fairly unique deck. Really interesting the way some of the images are chosen and put together. I never obtained the Ritual Tarot, which is perhaps what it comes close to, maybe. I never obtained that. Found it too expensive, and I didn't like the fact that the cards were not numbered, or, you know, yeah, they weren't named. Yes, I know there's a second edition where they've done that, but it's kind of like put me off. So this one, you don't have that issue. I think it's really important with collage decks to name the cards, to make it clear what the cards are about, because sometimes collage isn't that obvious. So yeah, I find this deck really, really interesting. And my second pet peeve with it, my second criticism of this is that the borders are quite big. I would rather have a smaller border and have this image pop up a bit more. All right, so Julio, very unlikely you're watching this, but you know, if you happen to see it, please change the box design and make these borders a bit smaller. That aside, the Burning Tiger Tarot is really, really excellent. I think there's nothing quite like it, and I absolutely no regrets buying it and working with it either. So there we go. Okay, so we've got the last two decks, which are kind of like my regrets, and I just bought them because there was a sale on, and you know how these things go. You're like, oh, that's really cheap, so let's get it. Now the first of the two isn't too bad actually. Like, I'm not gonna be harsh on it. It's a workable deck. It's a working deck. It's called Secrets of Paradise Tarot, and I bought this because Hay House was having a sale. All right, which is the publisher, and I think I got it for like $20 and free shipping or something like that. So it's inspired by Caribbean and Latin American culture and mysticism. The artwork is by Laura Bello, and the deck was created by Leticia Ferrer Rivera. So I don't know why, like, I feel like this deck has so much potential, and it's just kind of missed a little bit. First up, the card stock is very, very plasticky. I warn you about the glare now. You might be blinded. You might need to put some sunnies on because, oh, look at that. Anyway, we'll do our best. So, a working deck. I've worked with this. It reads well. It reads fine. I think it's just not cohesive enough. Like, it's got different time periods, and therefore different types of clothing and styles, and like you've got DJs, and then you've got, you know, people from, you know, horse riding there, and then you have people from like 3 centuries ago dressed like that, and I don't know if it's that. It's like a bit of a mismatch. You know, you've got like the real, and then you've got also like the mythical. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why this deck just... I think it's fundamentally a good deck, but because you can read with it, right? But I don't know. I could never do a review of this deck for that reason, as I can't quite pinpoint it. All right, so that is Secrets of Paradise Tarot. And then finally, this one I also bought because, again, Hay House was having a sale, so I thought I'll get 2 decks instead of 1. And this deck falls into the category of a tarot deck that is not a tarot deck, which really, I'm not into that. I feel like this needs a bigger discussion in terms of tarot decks that aren't quite tarot decks. Because I get that artists challenge and reinvent structures and hierarchies, and that's not a negative thing. I'm not saying that. But I feel like with the tarot, there's a reason we've got those 22 major arcana with cards like Justice card and cards like the Judgment card. You know, Justice isn't there because Justice is a patriarchal European invention. Like, justice is a universal law, and to raise those concepts and those values, it's a bigger discussion, but I think they have their place, and I think a tarot deck is a tarot deck because it has that particular structure of the major arcana, and those lessons are in a particular order for a reason. So anyway, the deck that I'm talking about is the Witch's Wisdom. And it's not a bad deck as such, and I understand why people love this deck. Absolutely. It's beautiful. But I feel like they've rewritten the major arcana completely, and therefore a lot of it doesn't align with the tarot structure anymore. So, I mean, some of it does. And you can see I haven't worked with it. They're still in order, so I'll briefly showcase some of these. So I love the fact, I mean, okay, they're big cards, so I don't like that part about it, but no borders and the artwork really pops out, okay? So the Fool is the Pilgrim, I get that, that's fine. No issues there. And then number 1 is the World. Okay, and this looks like there's a building burning there. I mean, that's not the Magician. Number 2 is the Initiation, which has a feeling of the High Priestess to it. Number 3 is the Sun. That's not the Sun in tarot, and I think they're actually backwards. I have a feeling. You know, so you get the World, and then you get Initiation, which is Judgment, and you get the Sun, and then probably then next you should have the Moon. Yep. But you know, I couldn't work with this deck as a tarot deck. As an oracle deck, yes, absolutely. But as a tarot deck, yeah, it's just not my cup of tea, okay? And I understand why it is some people's cup of tea. I get that, but it's not for me. So, unfortunately, it's kind of set in my tarot cabinet, and I might donate it or gift it to someone, because I didn't pay a lot of money for it. I don't think I'll get a lot of money trying to sell it. I've seen it come up for sale. Yeah, I was a bit disappointed in it. And again, it's not because of the artwork, it's just that rewriting of the major arcana that's just not my cup of tea. So I'm gonna wrap it up here. I hope this was, I don't know, an interesting deck haul for you all. And I'm not sure what 2025 is going to bring in terms of my YouTube journey. I certainly want to work with the Thoth a lot more, and I want to work with elementals. I'm working with the fire. I know it's it might be bad timing to say this, but long before the current fires happened in Los Angeles in California, I started working with the fire elementals. I'm in Australia, so don't worry, I'm quite far removed from it. Although certainly Australia's got its share of fire issues, but you know, I'm working from it from a perspective of working with nature elementals and the fire spirits, which are the salamanders. And I'm going down that path quite a bit more than tarot. So who knows what videos will pop up on this channel in 2025, but I shall continue posting. And if you've got any suggestions or questions or ideas, please send me a message or comment in the video. I certainly welcome all. And thank you so much for watching. Thank you for supporting my channel. And until my next video, take care.